Hey, everybody, it's Super Bowl time! And the Eagles are in the Super Bowl. And you're here with the TFL Podcast, and I just was to be excited. It's the game of the year, and we are pumped to talk about it. I am Rowan, and this is my mate, Arch, and we're here to talk about the Super Bowl from a Draftstars DFS point of view. And look, it's the last one for the season, Arch. It's the last one. And it's been a good season. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's here. It's been a marathon. I'm not going to lie. And so looking for a well-earned break of, sleeping into 6 on a Monday morning instead.
Yeah, that's right. So
of the ridiculousness. But give me 3 weeks and I'll be, begging for the return. In fact, Rowan, in the 2-week break of football, I may have already started my new spreadsheet for my, we also love Dynasty football, Rowan. And
you're
so
like going to dive in, aren't you?
So I've already downloaded, my college database stats and I started working on my new wide receiver model to just sort of highlight some smokies. So, I'm gonna be hopeless in the off season. I know it's just stupid.
I'm ready for a break. I'm a bit more interested in the AFL coming up, so that's where my head's gonna turn. But hey, look, each to their own, and thank you for all the people jumping in the chat. You can check us out on YouTube and look around Twitter, but it's the last one for the season, so you're not going to see us probably for a long time. Anyway, we have a big competition. Big contest in the Draftstars lobby. Check us out. Find the $5 single entry contest where you can play against us for one final time this NFL season.
Yes.
And hey, I love a showdown. I'm always big on the showdowns. I know some people don't like the showdowns, but I love the showdowns. And this is a showdown worth getting pumped for. So come on in and join us. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. See who can take out the final TFL contest for the year. That would be fantastic. Well, I'm not going to hold back. What's the point? Let's just jump in. This is the Super Bowl. It's Chiefs take on Philly.
Ready.
Let's go. Play the music.
Ready.
Hit.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready. Ah. Super Bowl preview time. Maybe last. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Oh, no. You've got to fade out. There we are.
It's the Chiefs taking on Philly. And Philly sitting here at 2-point favorites thanks to play up and over under of 51. Just get your take on that, Arch. Yeah. We're all going to miss it, CMOS. We're all going to miss the Arch rev up every week. It's really sad to see.
Maybe I'll just send him some private ones throughout the year. Just
yeah, he'll love that. He'll froth on that, I'm sure. Arch, Philly, 2-point favorites. Just initial thoughts before we dive into the stats. Where are you at with this game? I mean, I'm like, let's go Philly. Happy to be favorites.
I think it's pretty dangerous having the Chiefs as Super Bowl dogs. Like, come on. I think I think Mahomes has reached the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl. Like, the guy's got experience in big games. You can't it's 2 points. Obviously, it's within a field goal, so you don't take too much. It's going to be a tight game, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Bookies think there's going to be some scoring, but really, it's probably they're just chasing where the public money's going, really, because everyone wants to bet overs on the Super Bowl because they want a good, fun, exciting game. So they're probably just moved that line to that point just to sort of cover themselves, make sure they end up in profit no matter what. But look, a lot of sharp people that I've listened to, they like the unders. Maybe game does slow down a little bit, but I'm hopeful that it's not, because that would be a lot more fun, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. The Eagles last 2 weeks put up 31 and 38 points. Like, this has been against the Giants and the 49ers who lost their quarterback and then had to play another quarterback who got injured, and then
couldn't have the Eagles actually play a proper team once, could they?
Well, look. This is the narrative, right?
Yes.
That we read into this year is how real is the Eagles' run? Now, you can only play who you play. I understand that, and the AFC has always been more stacked than the NFC. So that's where a lot of my pause and nervous energy comes from, is looking at this going, the Eagles haven't had to play a tough matchup in a long time. It's been quite a while. So I am nervous. I am nervous about that. Now the Chiefs, though, they've only put up 27 points and they've put up 23 points 2 weeks ago. So they haven't had to score too much. But the opposition has scored 20 points both weeks. So whereas the Eagles' opposition has only scored 7 for both weeks of the playoffs. So it's a tricky one. So Reefing, welcome. And Arch wants to know who you got for the Super Bowl.
I think it might be SA Reefing, but anyway.
SA Reefing.
Look, we'll get to that. We'll talk about some game scripts shortly, and you probably could get a lean in on. And I've probably almost given that away anyway. Who we want? Basically, I don't want you to be happy, Ron.
Yeah, look, that's pretty much after 4 years of doing this podcast with you. That's all I've learned about our relationship is that you never want me to be happy. So thanks.
I would have thought you'd have learnt that early on, but
no, I did, but I'm just airing it out. It's still constant over the last 4 years. Look, here's some. Let's talk about some key stats over the last 2 weeks.
It's a long time, Rowan. Anyway, go on. 4 years is a long time. Jeepers.
That's right. 2 weeks we've had of playoffs for both of these teams, obviously with the bye early on. The Philly offense has been superb, right? First in EPA per play, third in pass EPA per play, second in rush EPA per play. So they're first in points per game, first in points per drive, first in touchdowns per game. They are last, interestingly, in pass rate over expected. So I think that's something to watch in this game is how often they're passing.
This is over 8 teams though. Last
it is only that's right. That's it. So, but still, they have chosen to pass less than the rest, or at least in expected. They are last in terms of the top. Those last 8 teams, they're last in explosive pass percentage, and I think what we're seeing here, they're second in rush yards per game and second in play success percentage. This could, if Philly get up, you could see them just running the ball home, and that's something to read into when we go into the game scripts. Defensively, they've been phenomenal the last 2 weeks, but that's because they've played San Francisco and the Giants. So I'm hesitant to put too much stock into that. But one of the things they do really well is create pressure, and they are creating pressure the best out of those top 8 teams. So pretty solid in terms of that. I think that's one of the key stats that we can take away and go, you know what, they are creating pressure on the quarterback a lot of the time. And that's led to their wins. And so it'll be interesting to see how Mahomes goes, but Mahomes is third in terms of EPA per play under pressure out of all starting quarterbacks this year. So he's been just fine, really, under pressure, as Mahomes usually is. Kansas City, last 2 weeks, they've been third in EPA per play, first in pass EPA per play, 7th in the rush out of the top 8, third in explosive pass percentage, they're second in points per game, third in points per drive, second in touchdowns per game. They're scoring, they're second in points per red zone drive, which is impressive. They are first in pass rate over expectation, and they're first in pass yards per game, 6th in pass percentage, interestingly enough, but that's because they haven't had to pass too much. They've been solid, they've been in front, and the game scripts have gone their way both games for the most part. So looking here, we kind of know what Mahomes wants to do. He wants to throw the ball. That being said, a value coming up might be on their run game, but either way, I think the game script that we might follow is a pass-heavy Mahomes game. Look, let's look into my game script that I think is fairly likely. And it's not pretty for DFS, unfortunately. So I think the stats favour the Philly run game. They've been really solid at it. But it's not necessarily helpful for us as DFS players because Sanders and Hurts can share the load. We've seen Gainwell pop for a 100-yard game against the Giants, and he rushed 14 times against San Francisco. Boston Scott's a toss of the coin. You don't know how they're going to use him. They like to throw him in sometimes when Sanders hasn't quite managed to get that 2-3 yard touchdown, then Scott comes in on the third try and punches it in somehow. It's a bit of an ugly mess, this backfield, in terms of trying to create, or to predict well what might happen. I honestly think the Gainwell stuff might draw some people in.
Oh, man.
But, I think it's the game scripts of the last 2 games where they're up by so much that caused Kenny Gainwell to be part of it.
Why would you put Sanders out there?
Yeah, that's it. So the question, though, I think for Kenny Gamer was that he has shown some prowess in the receiving game enough that potentially when we get to some 2-minute drills and it's on the line, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Gainwell out there. So I'm not going to fade him completely, but I think you're not going to see the usage that you saw the last few weeks. So the good thing, though, is with these cheaper guys like Gainwell and Scott, is that if you do think that Philly get up strong, then actually playing for some of these playing some of these cheaper guys in terms of DFS can actually get you some access to the heavy hitters like Kelsey, Mahomes, and Brown and Hurts. So there's something to read into all of that, I think. But yeah, look, my game script, Arch, is that the Philly's going to want to run the ball, but they don't have to. But I think that's probably where they'll go. So, but what about you? How are you feeling this game out?
So look, I think that's very likely as well. But if it doesn't, it's all out shootout, right? So Eagles are one of the best starting teams in the league. They get up to hot starts, and look, Mahomes is he's gonna keep up, no dramas. Like he's practicing in full since the last game, so I don't think the ankle is going to be a concern. And even if it's a slight tweak, he'll still be, better than every other quarterback in the league. Got no concerns there. Look, I just had a little stat here for you, Rowan. Chiefs' offense is number 1 in offensive DVOA, EPA, yards per play, points per drive, and play success rate across the year. Like they are the shiznit. Mahomes scores again. These are Mahomes' fantasy scores against top 10 defenses according to DVOA.
We want to stop you there, and we'll include it in our little one of our plays of the week.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Should we
go.
just
run it.
Let's let everyone know how we feel about this guy.
All right.
Show me the money!
Our premium player of the week, of course, Rowan, is Patty Mahomes. Yes. Look, you can't fade this guy. Like he's got ceilings for days. He's got such a, can he score less than 20 Draftstars points? Probably not. Yeah, you're going to have to pay up for him, and that might maybe just keep his ownership below 70%, which would be a nice. And so for a quarterback. So let's just talk about Chiefs are number 1 offensive DVOA, EPA yards per play, points per drive, and play success rate. This is a cooking offense. Against top 10 defenses, according to DVOA, Mahomes has scored 27 points, 20 points, 44 points, 30, 34 points, 27 points. These are just fantasy scores. These are against the top defenses. And Philly, on paper, are one of the top defenses. However, Rowan, Philly, if you actually only look at their defense against top 16 offenses, not that they've played many, like the 31st strength of schedule, by the way, ranking. So they've played the worst of the worst. So don't let their rankings fool you too much. But against top 16 offenses, they're 20th in defensive EPA per play, 19th in pass EPA per play, 27th in explosive pass rate defensively, 20th run EPA per play, 25th explosive run rate, 27th in play success rate. And they give up 30.2 points per game against top 16 offenses. So I don't know, Rowan. I'd be a little bit concerned that everyone's just thinking, Philly defense, they're tough. Mahomes is going to go bananas. Hence our premium player of the week.
Yeah, they're all scary stats.
Snip that one off.
Yeah, look, as an Eagles fan, I'm just backing away. Playing Mahomes is never a pretty thing for the opposition. So
should have organised a Mahomes jersey for this week. That just really.
Well, that's
anyways, I think though the game script of Kansas City and Mahomes just picking apart the defense is up there. I think the running game as well with Pacheco, a fair bit of explosiveness with him, and he's getting worked into a little bit more. We'll get to him a little bit later as well. Yeah. I think Kelsey is as safe as houses. Obviously, if you put Kelsey and Mahomes in the same lineup, you have not much salary left over. Yep. But potentially that's all you need. Like, what if no one else really gets there for fantasy because Mahomes uses about 6 blokes, and Jalen Hurts snipes all his teammates' touchdowns, and maybe you can fit Hurts into that lineup and just fit 1K guys. Like it's not a bad tactic that you just get the big guys scoring big, and then that might just be enough to get you there.
Yeah, they just might. I think that's the thing. Like, can you get different by just pumping and get 4 huge scores? And it's not unheard of. It has won contest before. All right, let's. I'm going to throw this up. We're going to look at the screen here, where if you're watching on YouTube, great to have you along. If you're listening to on Spotify, then or Apple or whatever, just just know we're looking at the Draftstars page with the salaries right about now in our TFL contest. Look, top 2 guys, we know them to be worth the price of 22,710 and 22,690 for Hurts and Mahomes. Hurts, we know he can just pump it out on the ground, and we know Mahomes is just superb through the air. I think when I look at this and these 2 guys, Jalen Hurts hasn't had to do anything. So I'm looking at the last 3 games that he's played, and I don't care about them.
No.
Because it's the Giants and the 49ers and I think the Giants. So you're looking at here going, whatever, it did not matter.
No. It's week 15 and earlier.
That's right. So if we want to think about the games where they actually had to get pushed, like look at Tennessee, where he threw for 380 and 3. Green Bay, 153 and 2.
157 on the ground that game, lest we forget.
That's huge. I know. So he can do it all, and in many, many ways. Against Chicago, 315 passing yards and rushed for 61 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like this, what this guy can bring in terms of ceiling is ridiculous. And I think Philly, all the talk is around how much they trust Hurts to be a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback, and I think they're going to lean on him, and that they're going to trust Hurts with the game, and so Hurts is I think well deserving of that top spot. Mahomes we talked about, so these 2 guys as quarterbacks, you can't go wrong. I think if you can try and get both in, because the ceilings for these 2 are bigger than the ceilings of anyone else but Kelsey, I reckon, and even then Kelsey, to get into a 30-point game, it's tough. It's not easy for him to do that. He needs multiple touchdowns and over 10 catches, and that just doesn't really happen that much. So,
and if he does that, you need Mahomes with him.
Exactly. So, fitting these things in is the puzzle. So we'll get to that when we build a lineup a bit later. Arch, talk us through the running backs here, because it's interesting pricing for them. They're all in that kind of, the main ones, Sanders, McKinnon, and Pacheco, are all in that 11K range. How are you picking these guys apart?
Yeah, it's tough. I think Sanders, he scored 17 Draftstars points last week, which, it was not that spectacular 17 points, but it sort of, the 2 touchdowns helped us, didn't it? And so we got a bit lucky there potentially, and so it's hard to go in with confidence again with Sanders. And then on Kansas City side, they've had 2 games where pretty similar game scripts. The first in the divisional, McKinnon seemed to be the main guy, and then Pacheco outsnaps him last week, 2 weeks ago, I guess. So it's really interesting to see how you read. One thing with Pacheco, last week, he participated in 52% of team dropbacks. Like, he was out there. It wasn't just McKinnon wasn't the automatic passing down back. In fact, he outsnapped him on passing downs. Pacheco did. So it's interesting. Like, is that a trend because they're liking what they're seeing out of Pacheco, or was it the fact that they're just managing them differently and based just scheme by scheme, matchup by matchup? Like, it's you couldn't be confident going in thinking either way is the way to go. And so, yeah, they've priced them pretty much identical. So it's going to be hard to it's really just going to be cycling them through.
I actually really like Pacheco. I think the trend is great. When you look at a divisional game and you go, oh, maybe they were just kind of managing McKinnon, I just don't think that's a...
but
if they honestly think McKinnon needs to be rested for the Super Bowl or anything like that, then I feel like then he's just not their best guy.
Yeah, but I think also if you look at he was on the field for the more important plays though that were most influential. So, you can't read all of it into just snap rates.
I think one of the things that we have to always remember with the Chiefs is that Andy Reid is the most creative coach in the red zone, and we know that McKinnon is a really important part of some of those plays, and we've seen that in the past. And so it's where's the trust, I think, is a big thing. So if we still think that McKinnon is more trusted in those particular moments, those big moments, then you probably want to almost side with him. And I think though people will be siding with Pacheco, so siding with McKinnon and playing him in a majority of your lineups, I think is probably going to be a decent contrarian play that people won't necessarily be all in on McKinnon, I think. So, especially because it's also part of the run game. I could see McKinnon at sub 15%.
Yeah, it's interesting. Unless, it depends what the field does, I guess.
Yeah. What do you have a feel for
season averages as well? It's a different field. We're playing a different field, I think, Rowan. Like it's not all just the DFS regulars. I'd expect a lot of casuals just throwing in a whole bunch of 3-3 lineups, and so they might just remember, McKinnon in the season did pretty well. So
that's fair.
It's hard to get a read on it. For what it's worth, I was looking at the Edge, which is the 33team.com resource. They put out. They've put out free DraftKings ownership projections, and they've got McKinnon at 34% and Pacheco at 14%, which is interesting. But the price disparity is a little bit more. Pacheco is an extra, it's significantly more than, well, not significantly, but a higher percentage. So there's more value, I guess, in McKinnon there. That's why the field might go there for that one.
Yeah, I think.
So I don't know whether that translates.
Yeah, it'll be hard to read, but I think it's just interesting having the conversation now because I feel like before we started recording, it was like, Pacheco's probably our value and McKinnon's probably our fade. But the reality is as more we talk about it, I think, especially thinking about, for me, who does Andy Reid trust? I don't know if I can actually put my stamp on that. So that's a hard thing. How are you reading the Philly running backs? Like,
I'm not scared of Gainwell. I think the game scripts were just, throw that out. He got a run. Sanders, I think, end of the season, dealing with nicks and bruises all over and little niggles. It makes sense to just not put him out there. But the biggest game of the year, they're going to go to the guy that is the best running back on the team, and that's Miles Sanders.
For sure.
If I look at, Pacheco, Sanders, McKinnon, who do I think is going to have the volume? It's Sanders. But just like the risk with Pacheco and McKinnon is like they've got their other running back mates potentially taking touchdowns. Well, Sanders has a quarterback running who's got a rushing share, I think 23% of team rushes goes to Jalen Hurts. And so he runs touchdowns as you run, you show. So both, it's not like he's going to be a workhorse. Well, he might be, but his quarterback takes a whole bunch of work from him.
Yeah. So true. Edwards-Helaire, 1K, punt play.
Maybe in a micro lineup, mate. Unless I start hearing actual news that he's actually part of the team plans, but
yeah. I could, this is the thing again, early this year, Edwards-Helaire had a couple of touchdowns on really nice Mahomes plays that they drew up really nicely. He's come back at this last game of the year. I don't know. There's, I think there is a potential that Edwards-Helaire is utilized in one or two specific plays that they would draw up just for him. So it's just, anyway.
I'd imagine he'll be a healthy scratch on game day.
It's quite possible. All right. Let's talk wide receivers. And right at the top here, we've got A.J. Brown sitting at 16,560. He's the most expensive wide receiver. And I think for good reason. I know people are probably going to flock to a cheaper and more in-form Devonta Smith. But A.J. Brown is I think if they're going to be able to limit the deep throws, then AJ Brown underneath is fantastic. He takes those contested catches and pushes yards after the catch. I am not scared of these San Francisco and New York Giant totals because I think we are going to see just the Hurts-Brown connection. I think is going to be sublime. That's my prediction. And they didn't need to pass too much against these guys, so that's why we're seeing that. I think I want more AJ Brown than Devonta Smith. I said this last week. What do you think, Arch? Same boat?
I tend to agree, and I think they're going to need to, well, I mean, it depends. I think what's the name? Snead. He's going through the concussion protocol, whether he's going to be active or not. He's their primary slot cornerback. That doesn't really give any of those guys an edge, as they sort of move both of those blokes around the line. So, but if they're going to have to throw deep, and I think they will have to, I think AJ Brown's the guy that you want, for those contested catches. He's just a big guy. So, I love that call, AJ Brown.
Yeah. Devonta Smith's just great. I mean, you want to play him. I think he's priced, I don't know, potentially too expensive for me. I just find it hard to fit him in the lineups that I've been trying to build. So
what can you do? Can you do a Hurts double stack with both those guys? But then, really, what are you banking on? Nothing happening on Kansas City's side. That's
it. Because I feel like you can only single with Hurts. If you're going to play Hurts and a receiver, I feel like you can only play one of those two to make your lineup work. And especially when there's a guy like Dallas Goedert sitting lower that could do just as much as either of those two in the right scenario, then I'm more likely to go to Dallas Goedert than I am to go both Brown and Smith. So I think that's where my hesitancy lies. Now, all the Kansas City guys are cheap. Looking at Juju Smith-Schuster as the only one at 11K. MVS, who had his game last week, goodness me, 7.5K. Do you think this is where the ownership goes to MVS? And should it?
No, I don't think it will. I think people are smarter, than just following 1 week of MVS. Everyone can pull that up and they see 1 week and everything else.
For sure.
It's not like that happens every second or third week.
But in a showdown, you don't need them to go 2 times. Sometimes you only need them to just push over 1.
Sure.
I mean, he's done that a few times.
Yeah, and look, I think he'll command ownership just because you need cheap guys to fill your lineups.
And he's always out in the field.
Yep. Was everyone else went off last week, didn't they? Yeah. So I think it was him, Kemp, and Sky Moore by the end of the game.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Juju, look, he's been out of the slot mostly, and a couple of stats here is that Eagles have been giving up the 13th most fantasy points to the slot, so it's probably one of the spots on the ground that they're weakest. Juju's running out of the slot 44% of the time, so there's a story to tell there, I guess. And look, he's the most experienced wide receiver in the group, and hopefully there's some trust there. I think with we've been saying all year, the Kansas City wide receiver rotation is just almost impossible to pick, and so playing Juju is important just because of the potential, not necessarily because of anything that he's done. So, but it's hard when he's 11K.
Yeah,
I find that tricky. Tony is limited in practice, and we know that he is a games.
Can we just go back? Is Juju such a bad play that it could be a good play?
Possibly.
Who wants to play him at 11K? They're look at the game log. You're like, oh hell,
it's gross.
How am I going to fit him in with Mahomes and with Kelsey and a decent Eagles? Could he actually be the guy you want?
Like I said, he's part of the rotation, so yes, he could be. But
maybe
it's hard.
He'll be sub 10%.
You think he'll be sub 10%?
Who's going to play him?
I think that big number 1 next to his name's going to fool more people.
People can click and see those game logs, and then they'll look at MVS, 4Ks, and then Tony. Everyone loves Tony. They want him to do well. He's limited at the moment, but
he'll be.
He said he's going to play for what it's worth.
Okay, tell me this: who out of those 3 are you having the highest ownership on, and who's second and third?
Look, I think from just making lineups work, it'll be probably MVS, just for knowing that he's going to be on the field. But I think I'm just going to dig into a bit of Juju for a little bit, and come game day, we'll see where we land. But I'm starting to think maybe that could just be the way, like, because they're Dupe City, right? Everyone's going to have the same lineups. I don't reckon there's going to be many with Juju.
Okay, no, fair call.
And Tony's the gadget guy. Potentially, I'll have Juju and Tony in a lineup with and then see what else flows from there.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking I might just be Tony as my highest, and play the fade on MVS. Tony.
Tony's
Juju.
been popular though. But
I think there's reason for it.
Yeah,
I honestly think there's good reason for it. And I think if he didn't get injured in that last game against Cincinnati, we would have seen him.
Hardman out helps.
Yeah, Hardman out definitely helps. Because wide receivers where we can get the punt plays. Is there a punt play wide receiver that you're happy to go to? When I'm looking at, like, Quez Watkins here is at 6.5. That's not really a punt. It's an ugly price. No one should pick Quez Watkins, and then he will score a touchdown. That'd be fun. Justin Watson, Sky Moore, Zach Pascal. Who, anyone there that you're happy to take a punt on?
It's interesting because Justin Watson, he was a healthy scratch last week, and which was weird because then they had Marcus Kemp out there for 26% of dropbacks, which you would have thought Watson is clearly ahead of them. So it doesn't give me much confidence that they're going to roll out too much Watson, but he does crop up, once every 3 months for a touchdown play, doesn't he?
He can do, yeah.
Sky Moore, I'm just not excited about it. Really. I'm probably more into Noah Gray than those two blokes.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move to tight ends then. So Noah Gray's your punt play, and I think that's fair because he's actually averaging almost 2 targets a game and 17.4 yards per game over the last little bit.
Blake Bell wasn't active last week either.
No, that's right. So I actually really like playing Kelsey and Noah Gray in the same lineup because I think people go, I'll just play one of the tight ends, not both.
54% route participation, if you don't mind, last week.
Yeah, that's...
Obviously, in not having receivers makes you want to play 2 tight ends a lot.
Yes, it does. But I don't know, consistent, at least one catch a game for almost the whole season. Just one game without a catch. Yep. I think that's, for a guy at 2K who can punch out something like almost like 25-plus yard reception, like that's what you need just to kind of float the lineup. So I don't hate that at all.
It would have felt a lot nicer if he was a 1K guy. But
yeah. I don't know if it's not too big of a deal for me that he's not. Let's look, Kelsey, he's great. You play him.
Yeah.
You want to play him with Mahomes because if he pays off his price, then Mahomes is definitely paying off his price. Do you play much Kelsey without Mahomes?
Maybe if it's just salary prohibitive, that's I guess you're banking on maybe a 2 touchdown game from Kelsey where that's all that Kansas City scores, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're long runs, I guess. It's or just lots of PPR points along the way.
Yeah, that's right. He's just, look, the thing is though, he's a playoff king. 15 touchdowns in 17 playoff games. It's it's ridiculous. Look, Eagles apparently ranked 6th against the tight end spot, so that's pretty good. They've allowed just a single touchdown to a tight end in their last 5 games. So it's going to be one of the toughest spots for Kelsey, but look, this is Kelsey, and I'm happy to roll him out, really, in a lot of lineups. And he'll be popular, all that kind of stuff, for sure. But maybe, I don't know, is 40% Kelsey a fade of Kelsey? And is that enough to kind of maybe get some leverage on the field?
I don't know.
Because you can't full fade people in showdowns.
No.
But like, if there's 70% of the field on Kelsey and you're only playing 40% and he busts, that's a pretty decent leverage on the field. So I don't know. Maybe I'll head that way.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's what you got to look into.
That's right. Dallas got it. Solid. Can be the guy. He hasn't necessarily needed to be, but he's a bit of a safety blanket. And look, he's just. I really like what he can bring. I really like his price, sub 12K. Pair him up with Jalen Hurts. I don't know. I think there's like that could be the pairing that you need. Like you could get 40 points out of Goddard and Hurts, in this game. So where are you at with Dallas Goddard?
Can you fit both quarterbacks and tight ends? Just do a quarterback tight end on both teams in one lineup. What are you left with?
I think you can. Yeah, for sure. But you're left off with 1K plays. So then I'd be having to play like Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Noah Gray. That's a very tight end heavy lineup.
Put it in.
Not particularly where I want to go. Oh, look, in the micro that might end up going in there, but yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tricky one. But Dallas got it. He's been decent. I think the touchdown regression, because he has barely seen a touchdown. He's like a few, just a handful this year. I don't know. I think they could use it, especially because the Super Bowl's those games where the teams come out and go, "Oh, look, here's this play that we've been thinking of the whole year, but we haven't used it, and it was for a surprise." And so, I don't know.
So there's something about me that I never get excited about Goddard, and I don't really want to play him. But
fair enough.
I have no analysis as to why. I just don't want to play him.
Just gut. It's the gut feel. Fair enough. Sometimes the gut feel is actually pretty good.
Stoll, though. What about Stoll for a little cheeky 1K tight end?
Oh, yeah, we didn't mention Stoll. He is not, like, he's whatever. Like, he
could catch a pass.
He can catch a pass, but if I've got the cash, I'm going to go to Noah Gray every day of the week.
Yeah. Yep.
Chad Henne, just in case Mahomes goes down.
Gardner.
Don't do it. Alrighty, let's. Defenses. Are you bothering with the defenses?
I mean, if you're thinking of the running back build, game script of hitting the unders, absolutely, you could be. Obviously, if you're going pass heavy game script, leave them alone. What these teams both can do is get to pressure to the quarterback, and so I think there's going to be sack points galore for grabs. And there's always a chance that for turnovers when there's a lot of passing volume. If Kansas City is forced to air it out, Patty Mahomes can still throw an interception. Hurts is not good against pressure. I think it's sub 50% completion rate, and so it could be interesting. I think it's definitely worth keeping in your rotations.
No, fair call. Look, just don't play both of them, right? I just don't think that's ever viable. Too many people love to play the double defense at the beginning. They're like, "Yes, I'm winning $1,000." goes away too quickly. All right, let's do a couple of lineups. How about Arch? You take one, and I'll take one.
Right.
So, lead me through it. Where do you want to head with your lineup?
Well, shall we go? Let's go Mahomes Kelsey as a starting point.
Yeah. We're going to lean into the Kansas City passing game here.
Look, let's go Juju. I've talked Juju up as my so bad it's good play.
So Mahomes, Kelsey, Juju leaves us with just under 9K per player remaining.
Yep, and let's just say that Sanders is a guy who actually gets some work done.
Yep.
And let's throw the KC defense in. Let's just say Hurts is having a stinker.
Okay.
And so what are we left with?
You're left with a 7K receiver.
Throw in MVS.
All right. There we go. Wow, that's a real heavy, Kansas City heavy build. I'm not sure if I like it. That's okay. Maybe that's just the Eagles bias in me.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, if you're looking at this, I would have thought instead of Sanders, you'd play you'd play Got It because of
the passing.
like this kind of points to passing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I wrong there? Or you, like, do
No, I'm happy with
you
that.
like Sanders still in a losing outfit?
No, we'll do what you say.
Sure. Okay. Thanks.
Well, that's the thing. You
That's
fill in your lineup, then you look at it, and then you look. All right, who was it, when you've got over a K to 2K in the bank? You always just see, all right, who else can I change there? And so
that's right.
That's a logical move.
I still honestly think here, if this was me, I'd be going instead of Juju, I'd go Pacheco.
Yep.
And so I got Mahomes, Kelsey, MVS, Pacheco in the Chiefs defense, and then got it as the pass catcher on the other side.
Yep, don't mind it.
That's how I'd play it.
I think you'd have that lineup where you cycle through Pacheco, McKinnon, and Juju.
Yeah, totally fair.
We've got a micro for this slate, don't we? We've got a
Yes, we do.
shitload of entries to fill in.
That's
I mean,
right.
that's going to be full of dupes like nothing else.
It's going to be great.
Every
I love it, though.
iteration
Leave some salary on the table and get different. That's how you're
Exactly.
going to win this game. All right, well, here's mine. I'm going to play, obviously, the Philly heavy story. So I'm going to go Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. I'm going to play the Noah Gray punt because I would like to get Travis Kelce or Mahomes into this build. We'll see what we get left with, though. I think... So I'm going to go a 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the way we're going to roll here, I'm probably going to have to play Goddard and Sanders. Oh, I can't get either of them then. That's okay. This just makes it tricky. So I don't hate, like I said before, I don't hate going to a Gainwell or a Scott, but it would mean 2 punt plays in the same lineup. It does allow me, though, to get Kelsey. So I don't hate this. I don't hate this. Hurts, Brown, Goddard, Gainwell. All 3 pass catchers in a way. Gainwell is a pass catching running back. And then you've got Gray and Kelsey in there. So I look at this and I go, I've got 4 guys that can all boom. And I've got Gray who can get me value and Gainwell who could vulture a touchdown and get me 10 points and pay off his price. So that's my thinking with a lineup like this. And like we mentioned before, like there might be a lot of people who just put the 3-3 lineup in. Oh yeah, I'll balance it out. But actually, games don't often end up super balanced, and often games like Super Bowls can actually be one-sided. And I like playing more like playing 4-2 and 5-1 builds than I do playing a 3-3 build as well. If we had gone, how much have we got? $800. If I had gone Devonta Smith, then I can change Gainwell down to Boston Scott, and I can actually fit in Patrick Mahomes. But again, I like Boston Scott a lot less than I like Kenny Gainwell. So anyway, there you go. A couple of lineups for you.
There you go.
Well, Arch, I think that's it. I don't know if we got anything else to talk about. It's one game.
I've got nothing left in the tank, that's for sure.
Well, mate, it's been a pleasure to
What a
run
season.
through this season with you, and I hope people at home have been enjoying the pod and enjoying our little commentaries on Draftstars and winning some money this year. That would have been nice.
Yep.
So it's been great. Of course, gamble responsibly, everyone. 1-800-858-858. Is there anything you want to say, mate, for the end of the season?
Look, as we transition out of the NFL season, like you said, we'll probably dabble in some AFL, the best sport in Australia, to play a bit of DFS. So we're in a couple Discords as well if you want to hang it with us. I think we're in the Draftstars Discord and the Oz Fantasy Football guys. No doubt we'll put in some AFL content into there as well. So join those communities to come hang with us and talk DFS.
Do it. Thanks for coming along for the ride, everyone. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Go the Eagles. And I hope all your DFS lineups work out for you.
Come second.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.